My sister is a lesbian and married her wife, 26F, a year ago. They receive a lot of financial support from my parents, have good jobs, and as such, have decided to have a baby. Currently, her wife is about 6 months pregnant, and the two of them are visiting for the holidays. I, 19F, am in college, so I don't see them very often, but I'm really excited for their baby. My sister and her wife had been dating since their senior year of college and were friends since childhood before that. I'm 7 years younger, so I was kind of left out of the loop. I never knew my sister's wife until they got married, and even then, I was swamped with my first year of college, so I didn't really ever get to know her. I was really excited for this trip since we'd get some one-on-one time together. Our parents live about 2 hours away from my sister and her wife, and I flew in from across the country. We were all staying with my parents. My flight got in late last night, so I slept in, and in the morning, my parents went to work and my sister went shopping. My sister-in-law stayed in with me, but I didn't realize she was around until she came downstairs while I was making lunch. She's obviously pregnant, and I haven't seen her since her wedding, so I was really excited to see her. She was not. I said hi and went to hug her, but she backed away. I apologized, and she just kind of looked at me weird and went to look through the fridge. I tried to make small talk with her, so I asked when she was due. She gave me a really weird look, like I'd asked what her cup size was, and then just said March and kept making her food. I said I was really excited to have a niece or nephew, then asked if she wanted a boy or girl. She sighed really loudly, said she didn't care, and moved on. My sister had mentioned that her wife had PTSD due to a previous pregnancy, so I worried that might have been it. I tried to shift the subject and ask how her work was. She set her knife down really loudly, stared at me for 30 seconds, then said fine and went into the dining room without saying anything else. Throughout the day, I kept trying to interact with her. I offered to get her a drink while I was in the room, but she just muttered no. I asked what she was watching, and she replied, "You wouldn't know it, it was The Simpsons." I said I was really glad she was spending the holidays with us, and she gave a very begrudging yeah. I thought this must just be how she is. Then, my parents and sister came home, and she was super cheery and nice to them. My dad was asking if they had names picked out, and she just wouldn't stop chattering on. My sister said she wanted a family name, and her wife insisted on a unique name. My mom pointed out that my name, Anais, isn't very common, but it's also a family name, same as my grandmother, and they should consider it. I said I wouldn't mind having a niece with my same name, and my sister was really enthusiastic about it. Her wife gave me a glare that basically said she wanted to beat the crap out of me. I just ended up getting the silent treatment. At dinner, I asked if she would pass the potatoes, and she didn't listen. I repeated myself, she ignored me, and then my sister told her I had asked for her to pass the potatoes. Suddenly, she was all bubbly and giggling. Oops, guess I didn't hear her. What do I do? Should I tell my sister? Directly challenge her? I have very positive relationships with my parents and my sister, and I want to be really involved with my niece/nephew, so I really don't want to go 100% no contact or anything. How can I try to resolve or at least get over this? Edit. This morning, we all had breakfast together. I sat across from my sister, between my parents, with my sister-in-law kitty-corner to me. My sister-in-law actually spoke to me, but it wasn't all that positive. She asked if I was seeing anyone, in kind of a snarky tone. I said, no, school was really busy, I just didn't have time, etc. She responded, well, not everyone finds someone. My sister tried changing the subject, asking my parents whether they had gone to their winter home yet. My sister-in-law was so nice to them. She was saying what a gorgeous house it is, how grateful she was to have been able to take a vacation there with my sister last month. My mom is easily flattered, so once my sister-in-law got started, she began gushing about her, and it was just a mush fest. After breakfast, I offered to take our dogs for a walk. When I came back, my parents had left with my sister to go shopping again, and my sister-in-law was the only one home. She asked me how I was liking college, and I said I was liking it a lot. I major in pre-dental, so I started talking about it a bit, and she rolled her eyes. I apologized for oversharing, and she said, no, it's fine. You just have a problem with reading the room, I guess. Then, she walked away. When my sister comes home, I'm definitely going to tell her about it. Edit. There is one thing I can think of that might explain why she could be mad, her wedding. It was initially scheduled on the day of my finals. This was before invitations were produced or mailed, just their idea, so I called my sister to tell her I either wouldn't make it or the date would have to be changed. She was really upset about it because she and her wife had wanted a winter wedding, the date seemed perfect for them, etc. I said they didn't have to sacrifice the winter aspect, just maybe move it a day back. There was a kind of big fight, and I can assume my sister-in-law got in on it, but my sister is the kind of person who likes to be liked. Think of her as a human golden retriever, and she didn't want to be mad at me, so we worked through it. Her wedding ended up being the day after my finals, which I was grateful for, and there's been no resentment or hard feelings since, or so I thought. I was my sister's maid of honor, and I didn't see much of my sister-in-law prior to the wedding. She'd gotten food poisoning from her bachelorette party, so she was kind of indoors for the majority of the pre-wedding hubbub. During the reception, I made a toast, talked about my sister and her wife's friendship, how we've just been waiting for the two of them to get married, they're a match made in heaven, etc. She teared up, gave me a big hug, and said she was excited to be my sister-in-law. I wanted to talk more with her, but some relatives wanted to ask me why I chose the college I did, so I went to talk to them. I'm probably going to bring this up with my sister either today or tomorrow. It all depends on what my sister-in-law is up to. Update 1. So, I didn't get the chance to talk to my sister. When my parents came back from shopping with my sister, my mom started saying how she had the perfect onesie for her granddaughter. Before my sister-in-law could start gushing, I asked what my mom meant. She asked if I hadn't heard I'd be having a niece, and I replied I hadn't. My sister said it was weird because she'd asked her wife to tell me once they'd gotten the ultrasound. Her wife had zero excuses and had the most deer-in-the-headlights reaction. Something just sort of snapped, and I started crying. I felt kind of spoiled and horrible for it, so I apologized and went upstairs with the dogs. My parents came upstairs, and my mom went to ask if I was okay, while my sister and her wife started shouting downstairs. My mom basically said that my sister-in-law does not like me, and that it wasn't really my fault, she's just bad with people she doesn't know, and took it out on me inappropriately. And yes, my sister-in-law was still pissed about the wedding date thing, which just made it worse. I felt really crappy and just really bad. Part of it wasn't my fault, but part of it was my fault. Apparently, my sister knew about both issues beforehand and had given my sister-in-law directions to try and get along with me. They were still shouting downstairs, and I was kind of bordering on a meltdown, so I asked my mom if we could take the dogs for another walk. We went out the back, and when we came home, my sister had left the house to cool down, and her wife was upstairs. I spent most of the rest of the day downstairs until my sister came home. She had obviously been crying and was in a bad mood. My mom took her into the kitchen to try and calm her down, so I kept sitting in the living room. I felt like a bratty little kid again. I genuinely felt like I'd messed up my sister's marriage and probably ruined our relationship in the process too. Everything just felt awful, and when my sister came out of the kitchen, she didn't even look at me, just went storming back upstairs. Her wife started yelling first, and they were fighting for a while before it got quieter upstairs. My mom, dad, and I went out for dinner, and when we came home, my sister-in-law was waiting for us. My sister-in-law apologized to me, saying she had been petty and rude, and that the wedding date thing had been a non-issue. I said it was okay if she was upset about the wedding thing, but I wish she had let me know. She said it wasn't that easy, since my sister would basically take a bullet for me, and it had caused them a big fight before their wedding. I said I had no idea, and that I was sorry to be the source of that tension, and I just wanted to be able to be a good sister-in-law myself and be a good aunt. My sister-in-law got angry and said I had ruined the opportunity for the first one, and she wasn't banking on the second one. Then, she stormed upstairs, and she and my sister got into another big fight. I felt awful. The bad feelings manifested physically, and I spent most of the night throwing up while my sister and her wife fought. My mom was really kind to stay up with me, and my dad tried to get my sister and her wife to get off each other's backs. I specifically heard my sister-in-law shouting, "Who would you jump in front of a train for, me or her?" And my sister responded, without missing a beat, "My sister, no questions asked." They got quieter after that, and my sister-in-law started up the screaming about an hour later, saying, "I'd let all my siblings die for you." My sister slept on the couch, and the two of us went out for breakfast in the morning. She basically said that after my sister-in-law gave birth, she and my sister were going to separate. They would try counseling prior to the birth, and afterwards too, but if things weren't getting better, they'd be divorcing. I said that it shouldn't have gotten that far, and I was sorry for pushing the both of them. My sister said that my sister-in-law does this to all my sister's friends, and they've been fighting often. But, she clarified that the way she treated me was a deal-breaker. She said it might have sounded sad, but I was her best friend from birth, and she wouldn't let me not feel welcome like that. I felt really guilty and started crying again. She kept saying she wanted it this way, their relationship was broken as is, etc. It's been tense and awkward ever since. My sister-in-law won't look at me or speak to me, and I've given up. My sister has been by my side a lot and has amped up the good sister behavior tenfold. I feel like crap, everything is really terrible, and I'm sure I'm going to be making another post during the actual Christmas BS. Not a great update, but there we are.